distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen.
Is there water? I can get water.
There's water in the, orange water in the freezer. Anybody want water in the freezer? Coffee, tea, help yourself. Croissants back there.
Freezer.
It's probably cold now. You can take it out. Probably cold now. What's up, family? My name is Brother Ray. Welcome to the BK History Club. We meet here every other Wednesday. But first of all, for the Zoom audience, give yourself a great big hand for coming down and supporting the group. And for our members that came out in the live audience, give yourself a great big hand. Yeah. We want to thank you for supporting us and keeping the group going. So welcome to the BK History Club. We meet here every other Wednesday, and we meet in honor of Bill Mackey Jr., El-Haj Malik El-Shabazz, Dr. Professor Amos Wilson, Brother Gil Noble, Louis Ray Rivera, Minister Khaled, our good friend and longtime member of the BK History Club, Brother Hassan, the late, great, baddest man in the courtroom, Alton H. Maddox. And before I go on, I want to give a moment of silence to Jamil Alameen, also known as H. Rap Brown, and his movements that shook the nation with the Black Panther Party in that 60s. People ain't pay no dues in this country for what we had to go through. And we paved the way for everybody. And he fought the good fight. But them folks down in Georgia did him wrong. On orders of white folk. They did the same thing to Cynthia McKinney. So, H. Rap Brown, bad dude, and we want to honor him, just like Mumia. We meet here, Louis Ray Rivera, and we're going to bring the camera over to the Amos Connection family. These books are to help Zimbabwe and African World Info Systems continue the work of Amos Wilson to bring information to the masses. We got Blueprint for Black Power. We got the Psychology of Self-Hatred and Self-Defeat toward the Reclamation of the African Mind. We got Black on Black Violence, the Psychodynamics of Black Self-Annihilation in Service of White Domination. And whether we know it or not, as Black people, we are still dominated by white folks. They still control every move we make. African-centered consciousness versus the New World Order, issues of manhood in black and white, S.K. Damian and the bastardization of African cosmology, awakening the natural genius of black children, and Louis Ray Rivera's classic, Jazz in Jail. And I always want to give a tribute. And being that my good friend, Brother Claude, is in the audience, in honor of Louis Ray, who came down and he took up the mantle when Dr. Mackey left us. And Louis Ray would come down here, Colvin, Calvin, Brother Assad. Louis Ray would speak for hours, and he lived on Jefferson Avenue, and he would come down here and he would kick it. He even had us on BAI. And Louis would come down here and talk, and we would walk him. He lived on Jefferson Avenue, which is only a few blocks away, family, and he would talk for another hour and a half. and we just walked slow, and he just would talk and talk and talk, and he'd come out of Monster Project. So I never want to forget the greatness of Louis Ray Rivera in this classic, Jazz in Jail. So, we never want to forget Miss Leola Maddox and the United African Movement. And that's why I wear the hat, because Miss Leola had a moderately old car, new car. And she would come from Teaneck, New Jersey, where she worked. And they didn't have no computers or nothing, and she did the UAM in honor of her and Alton. And she would come down there and eat her dinner in the UAM because she believed in bringing people together. We have technology now, but it wasn't no technology then. You had people videoing for CDs. And we was just talking about Dale Jones's book, Cultural Bandits. And I never forget, Dale Jones would come down from Philly, and the book costed $12. And he talked about how all these folks were stealing the culture. And he called them cultural vandals. Cultural vandals. And we cannot find that book no more.
It's this way to clear out stuff
All right,
by adding more fiber to your diet.
Mute yourself, please.
Make things worse, of course.
As far as
Mute yourself.
We've been experimenting with prunes, kiwis, and refried beans.
Oh, bless her, but this is going sideways fast.
Fibrous foods are great because fiber helps you poop.
Okay, I gotta jump in here. Fiber. Look, it's great when you're not already constipated, but when you're backed up, it's just like, yikes. Because here's the thing, fiber
Mute
adds
yourself.
stool and to stool, and 1 + 1 = 2. Just like adding even more mass to the poop that's already blocking your body's only exit equals more cramps, more bloating, and more
Please mute
constipation.
yourself.
That's just basic math. And it's 100% not gonna get things moving again.
What about laxatives?
Sure, laxative.
Okay, we got you. Thank you very much. Okay, Doc is here in the show. Miss Leola, who would come down, and she believed in elections. She believed in bringing people together. She believed in the camaraderie. She believed in having people live come together. So we never want to forget the work that Miss Leola did in keeping the United African Movement alive. God bless her, and may she rest in peace. And so I'm going to name some books real quick. This is for the listening audience. You can get these books, do your own research. In honor of Cynthia McKinney, we have How the U.S. Created S-Hole Countries. And when you heard Donald Trump mention that Puerto Rico was an S-Hole country, Cynthia McKinney went beyond the call of duty, and she wrote a book on how these countries was basically turned into S-Hole countries via the United States. And it's funny, you can't be an S-hole country when you have the world resources in your land. And also Cynthia McKinney, when China sneezes, from the coronavirus lockdown to the global political, and on orders from outsiders, and no good people down in Georgia. In my personal opinion, Cynthia McKinney was the only one that cared about the people of the state of Georgia. And she went head to head with asking questions to the Bush administration. So all them other people down there that's running their mouth, this and that, they full of it. Cynthia McKinney. And they did the same thing to Brother Brown, Jamil Al-Amin. And he was cleaning up a section in the state of Georgia. He was cleaning it up. And the powers that be didn't like it. He was doing a good job. If anybody think blacks run South Africa, unspoken alliance, Israel's secret relationship with apartheid South Africa. Sasha Polanco Sharansky. Another book. They got medical marijuana all over the place. They had, it's disgusting. They done made this stuff legal, It's going, the people are going crazy, they rolling it up. Black folks are smoking it, white folks are smoking it, they walking down the street, law enforcement can't do nothing with it. And you can thank old King George Soros. And it gets into the Chinese opium drug wars. They got a book out called Low Life. And it tells you about the drug dens on the Lower East Side, drug dens on Canal Street, all in Chinatown. And the emperor got so tired of it, he said, this has got to stop. You're not gonna destroy my people. The British is excellent in destroying people. So we want to thank Lyndon LaRouche, who talks about Soros and the legalization of marijuana and everything involved, and our destruction. And that 60s movement was on the move, and they brought them drugs in the community, 50-cent caps, and it destroyed any kind of we had. So the British knows what they're doing, and they did it to everybody. Chinese opium drug wars. So I want to thank Lyndon LaRouche for coming out with this book, Dope Incorporated. And I don't know what they're going to come out with next, but I tell you, if you think the Democratic Party gave us anything, the only thing the Democratic Party gave us was legalized weed that's doing all kind of nonsense to us. It is tearing us up. We used to be in front of the liquor store. Now we're in front of the weed spot. And everybody's selling it. Whites are selling it. Arabs are selling it. Everywhere you go is cannabis. I ain't never seen nobody smoke one of them joints and start looking for a big tuna fish hero. In the old days, you smoked a joint, you start laughing at everybody and you wouldn't look for something to eat. They ain't eating nothing out there. So I don't know what's in this stuff, but you better wake up. The Crips and the Bloods ain't got nothing on the Irish gangs, the Italian gangs coming into New York through Castle Garden, coming into the 5 Points. The Bowery Boys was the most vicious gang that you could see, the Dead Robins. So if you want to get a history of the 5 Points, down by City Hall, and blacks coming in, and how that place was, you get this book, The Gangs of New York. We ain't got nothing on those roving gangs that ran this city, over 400. And all those upstate prisons. We was not in there first. Those jails were occupied by the Irish. So get this book, The Gangs of New York, and they did not like Hollywood's portrayal of them in that movie. They were very much up in arms on the treatment that Hollywood portrayed the Irish coming to America. They did not like it. So if you really want to read about gangs in the early 1900s, 1800s, and the viciousness, you get this book. It's readily available. And I want to thank Dr. Mackey for bringing that up. An empire they own, how the Jews invented Hollywood, an invention. And anybody that's getting into the entertainment industry should read this book first on how they took control. And it was basically used as a toy. And the government got involved and allowed them to make these movies. They destroyed our image from Birth of a Nation. And Hollywood is still destroying our image. They have yet to put anything positive about black folks and how they took control of the movie industry. And we bailed them out during the black exploitation movies of the 60s. They was going under. And then they came out with all these Superfly and Truck Turner and where we were pimps and drug dealers and nothing positive. Zukov, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, and all of them. So get this book. And they did not like Neil Gerbler. They were very much upset with Neil Gerbler when he wrote this book. And it has it, Harry Cohen, William Fox, Carl Lambert, Louis B. Mayer, Jack and Harry Warner, the big boys. They were not happy. So get this book, The Gangs of New York. In honor of Dr. Ben, black man of the Nile and his family. And Dr. Ben tells you how they built those great dynasties. How it was not a mistake. Ain't no slaves built the pyramids. The best builders in the world. And now we're paying other people to do building for us. So we want to thank Dr. Ben that gets into stuff going on. And not too many people were able to carry his leg. See, he gave orders. And a lot of people were saying they followed what Dr. Ben say do, but they didn't. The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. Excellent book. It'll tell you all the mistakes we made in the land of the black. Armies, 20,000, 30,000 strong. In the land mass. It talks about the Arab slave trade. So Chancellor Williams, and there's also a documentary by Chancellor Williams on in honor of Gil Noble on how they brought the drugs into the black community. And he basically states they had to get somebody that was well known in the community. And it's on like it is if you go into the archives. He had to have a criminal record. He had to have a reputation. And they sent them back into the communities in the United States, from Compton to East St. Louis, to Detroit, Michigan, to Harlem, to Brownsville. And they said, this is the new thing out. This is it. And then they changed the music. It's my thing. Do what you want to do. I can't tell you the sovereignty. So they changed the music from revolutionary to doing it up. So you think these Hollywood moguls and the Jews that control Hollywood do not set the trend because they control the media. They destroyed us. And they're still disrespecting us. Every time you turn the TV on, you see nothing positive. Look at the roles we're playing. African American Black identity crisis and political activism in New York in 1784, 1861, 2 years before the draft riots, where the Irish hung us from poles at the Children's Museum, Children's Orphanage on 42nd Street. So it was tough times then, and we ain't even into the 60s. So I want to thank the African Echoes family, Brother Truss, for this book. And a lot of people ain't pay no dues, like I said. They ain't pay no dues. Queen Nzinga, African warrior queen, and her negotiating with the Portuguese. And they disrespected her so bad, they didn't want her to sit down when she did the negotiations. So the brothers that was protecting her and was in her army, they formed a bench and she sat on them and they was the bench and she was a fierce negotiator. And every black woman, if you read about Queen Nzinga and see what kind of a fierce sister she was, them chumps wouldn't be disrespecting them like they do. You wouldn't get disrespected. So read about Queen Nzinga and the fierceness. Read about Winnie Mandela. And when she saw a traitor in the midst, she took a tie and put it around him and burnt him up. So she did not like no traitors. So Winnie Mandela, Queen Nzinga. African slavery in Latin America and in the Caribbean. So for all you folks that could come to America and go against what the African American is doing, trying to get some reparations and keep bringing it up and keep fighting. Slavery was a global. It was in Latin America, it was in Brazil, It was in Panama. They dropped us off all over the world. So if you wasn't over there fighting for reparations from the conquerors where you came from, please stay back, get out of the way, and allow the people that's here to fight for reparations. And if you did fight in Brazil, in Jamaica, in Haiti, in all those Afro-Caribbean islands, but do not come and stop us here, who's been in the muck and mire, fighting, trying to get something when they're giving it to everybody else. Slavery was a global. The destruction was done all over the world. So keep your opinion to yourself and do not fight us. Dr. Tyree White, The Making of a Pan-African, Booker T. Washington. Everybody got something to say about Booker T, but Terrain Wright said he was a bad dude. And she comes down here, we're gonna bring her back. So she has this book, and Booker T taught us how to make bricks, and we don't have a brick company nowhere. He's a good guy. All right, Ayo Kamati. And there's 1-2, and he's running for office in the 41st District in Baltimore. War Near Rising. His book, Jews Are the Problem, and book number 2, Jews Are the Problem, The Psychology of the Jew, and he's talking about the big players. So we want to thank Ayo for his publications, and they're small books, but the research behind them is unbelievable. And he's down in Baltimore running for office. I don't know why they have all these reparation hearings and nobody comes with the book. If you go back to Rhodesia with Cecil Rhodes, and they basically told every car maker in America, I don't care how many cars, Ford, Chrysler, General Motors, I don't care how many cars you roll off that assembly line. If you ain't got no tires, the car ain't going nowhere. And they cut your hands off and cut the feet off if you didn't come up with the rubber quotas. Cecil Rhodes, Livingston. And then you're gonna come here and talk about the African American trying to get some reparations here. And if you didn't fight over there, you're out of your mind. The hangings, the ropes, the beatings, the hangings, the postcards, Without Sanctuary, Lynchville, where they would take a horse, put it to one side of a woman, take the other horse, put it to the other side of the woman, and tell the horses to run and cut the baby out. And if you want more on it, you get that movie Sankofa. And here they running around having another study. And got black folks sitting up in there, Ron Daniels and them. They don't have this book. And during the movie Mandingo, and Ken Norton played a role in that, and they put him in a pot of hot boiling sugar. And when you ask for something, then we gotta have a study. The Manchurian Candidate, the CIA information of Barack Hussein Obama, con man. You got a problem, Wayne Mansfield. And he's sitting up here with a stick of weed in his mouth and a hat on. The manufacturing of a president, the CIA insertion of Barack Hussein Obama Jr. into the White House. Con man. And they got another book out there. I call him King George. Bad dude, George Soros. The unauthorized biography, the lifetime and trading secrets of the world's greatest investor. Bad dude. Book number 2, The Secret Network of George Soros, the man behind the curtain. And he has a lot to do with funding a whole lot of organizations. I call him King George. He the one funded that King's March that everybody jumped up and was following. Get this book. Bad man. Big dog in the house. Secret History of Jewish World Domination, the Synagogues of Satan. Andrew Carrington Hitchcock found this Rome in the streets. Capitalism on a Ventilator. All the money that was made during the CO-19. Dr. Scott Whitaker, out of Decatur, Georgia, bad brother. Comes on Darren's show a lot. Medicine, the causes and solutions to disease and malnutrition and the medical sins that are killing the world. We want to thank Dr. Scott. This book is readily available. I will tell anybody, please get this book and read it. Everybody talking about the Epstein files, huh? Well, this is just something I picked up. Whitney Webb, and she's not the first to come out on the stuff on the Epstein files. And regular people couldn't even get no place near the place. This was for big players, big dogs in the game. And this is a 1-2 punch by Whitney Webb, and she's not the first one that bring it up. They was all at the free party. And the regular people that's talking about bringing it up couldn't get nowhere near the place. You ain't got your money ain't long enough. Go up to Hunts Point to one of them clubs, then you could talk some stuff. You ain't getting the Jekyll's Island, because that's where the big dogs play. And you'd be surprised who's on the list. So Whitney Webb brings it out, and other people. Children's Health Defense down the CO-19 rabbit hole. The real Anthony Fauci, dirty dog. Mark Sloan, the cancer industry, crime, conspiracy, and the death of his mother. Wrote a book on what happened. They stopped the Moderna papers, but they couldn't stop the Pfizer papers, and I hope that Naomi Wolf comes through and force the Moderna papers must be doing something, because Amazon was selling a book and they stopped it. I even brought it, gave me my money back, and they stopped publication. It must be some real stuff, so if you really want to go on, but Pfizer, they caught Pfizer, and Pfizer had to give up the stuff. And this is for public information. They said the public has a right to know, or what happened to the blood. The public has a right. They have a Freedom of Information Act in America. Freedom of information. And Donald Trump opened up the files on Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy. The public always has a right to know what's going on. That's why they call it the Freedom of Information. But Moderna and the other company, Johnson & Johnson, vaccine timeline, Children's Health Defense, they go into the history of vaccines in the 1800s. This is a timeline. Excellent book. Rand Paul, Deception. The CO cover-up. Dr. Colleen Hubbard, neither safe nor effective. The evidence against the CO. I'm getting into this book, and it's the medical pharmaceutical killing machine. Finding facts that will save your life. You see, this stuff is in the book, but we got the great Dr. Lewis with us sitting up here, coming down every time. We got the doctor. Edward Down, Causes Unknown. And this book talks about the death of the young warriors, young football players in the prime of their life, dropping dead, collapsing on the football field. Youngsters, old, athletes. Nobody seems to care. Nobody says, nobody's mad. All these books around. The damn books are everywhere. Families destroyed. You show about happy Thanksgiving, and your loved ones is gone and you don't know why. The Wuhan cover-up, vax and unvax. Get those books and read them. You have a right to read. You have a right to learn. You have a right to get information. And if you don't stand up, they will take it. Books are everywhere. And I'm gonna throw a blockbuster on you right now. Our great scholar, Dr. Lewis, said Donald Trump's family came here in rags. And Dr. Mackey would always say, Professor Mackey, if you want to learn about somebody, then you buy the books. Donald, German immigrant grandfather, Frederick came to America with one suitcase. That's all he had. Running. The Trumps. 3 generations that built an empire. Any of us have an empire? Read the books about individuals. Want to see how many slaves Thomas Jefferson had? How many women? How many of the slaves they used to keep their feet warm? How many of the black children they put as bait? And you're talking that nonsense? You want to learn about somebody, read the books. These are some community events, community programs that's happening. Thorough Black Talk, Tad, Keisha, Sister Brooke, brother from the Freedmen organization dealing with reparations. They come on every Thursday. Brother Black, one of the hottest shows on the East Coast, Thorough Black Talk. Getting into doing the family search and the fight for reparations, and actually got some people going against them and ain't fought for nothing any place where they came from. You must remember, John Conyers had the reparation bill sitting up there in Washington for 40 years. And the grassroots organizations that was trying to get reparations then are the grassroots organizations. It sat there for 40 years. And they didn't even pick it up. And George Soros is the one behind the new phenomenon. So Tad, Keisha, and I say, Brother Black, they get it big on that situation and that topic. It ain't going away, baby. That's why everybody trying to jump in. They think they're going to get some money. Blog Talk Radio with Sister Empress Chi and our Philadelphia connection, Brother Moses. Sister Tanisha out of Cali. That 10 o'clock program is on YouTube Live. Brother Lumumba. That's an excellent show when we get it on Saturday, talking, going at each other. But I want to thank Empress Chi in Philadelphia for that program. Saturdays at 10 o'clock is on Zoom, YouTube Live, and they had a brother there from Chicago. They had a guy come on the other day, last Saturday, talking about Obama and that library, how he destroyed part of the black community. Over budget. Nobody black doing any of the construction. All the contracts going to other people. And how they got the nerve to run around and try to make a play on Fred Hampton and didn't even let his son come in there and didn't even ask permission. Blog Talk Radio. Ayo Kamati, Kamati Live. Sankofa Revolutionary Radio with Dr. Anthony Mohammed. WSYP 95.1 out of Birmingham. They have a blockbuster program. You got Dr. Haru come on 9 o'clock a.m. from 9 to 10. You got an 8 to 9 program. And then you got Ayo Kamati come on from 10 to 11. And they have call-in. Dr. Haru is giving up some excellent information on health. And that's every Monday at 10 o'clock, Sankofa Revolutionary Radio out of Birmingham, Alabama. They have an excellent program all day. Darren Muhammad, our Baltimore connection, State of the City. He comes on Wednesday, Thursday sometime, but the Saturday program, Mohammed the Kamet on YouTube, Darren Muhammad, State of the City. We want to thank Darren. And his brother Kenny Ebron, who's running for office in Baltimore, supporting Ayo Kamati, and they fight against this fraud that's trying to destroy the legacy of their family, the Governor Westmore. Fraud! And he's taking up for his family. We want to thank State of the City. Every Tuesday at 7 o'clock, Dr. Aline, Your Immunity Project in Calfani Radio. Excellent program. That comes on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. That's a Zoom meeting. Every Friday at 8 o'clock, you have African Echoes out of Newark, New Jersey. And they're doing the psychology of self-hatred and self-defeat toward the reclamation of the African mind. And we want to thank Brother Trust Graham. That blockbuster study group comes on 8 o'clock, and there's some members on. They can put it in the chat, and you can tune in. But not only do African Echoes give you a 1-2 punch on Friday, they come in, and Brother True and all of them give you a double header Friday and Saturday. The Know Thyself study group out of Asbury Park. They're doing the destruction of black civilization. And you think we didn't make no mistakes in that continent? We made plenty of mistakes. The place was so big. We made plenty of mistakes. How did they get in there when we got weak? How did we get weak as one of the strongest? How did it happen? How did we lose power? How did the Portuguese get in there? How did the Arabs conquer North Africa? How did they get to the natural resources? Because you cannot be a poor people when God put you in the land mass where you're taking care of the world. Africa's resources has been taking care of the world for 5,000 years. And it has plenty more. So that's a 1-2 punch Friday, Saturday. The Simotap organization, and they fight against Netflix. They're having a big program November 29th out in Queens, but they fight against Netflix and the disrespect that they do us every single day on every channel. They disrespect black people in the media, and black people are involved in the disrespecting. So they fight against Netflix is still going on. UNIA, and this is one of the hardest, this is so hard, is to change our way of thinking, myself included. But Raymond Dugal and Michael Duncan, General President of UNIA, is trying their best, one member at a time, to change our thinking. And they got the store called The Rock out there in Queens. And it's a baby Jetro's. 13205 Merrick Boulevard, right across the street. Meat, vegetables, fish, spices, drinks. People in there are so friendly. So when you go to them big box stores, just put a little bit on the side and get into your car and go out to The Rock. The same way you go out to Walmart, Home Depot, and spend a couple of dollars there. They ain't disrespecting nobody. Excellent. So I want to thank the UNIA. One member at a time, they're trying. So ladies and gentlemen, we have Africans helping Africans. If you want to view all the lectures from Dr. Lewis, he's been with us so long, he is a treasure trove of information. That's why we keep bringing him back. So he can continue to have his information. 13-part series on the Sahel region. And there's going to be more, because the place is on the move and there's a lot of things happening. So ladies and gentlemen, give a great big hand and see, when you come with medical, you can read all the books you want, but ain't nothing like coming down talking to the doc. And he will explain a lot of things to you in simple terms, but you got to come down. And if you don't come down, you will miss out. So ladies and gentlemen, African Helping Africans, the BK History Club, the 1-2 punch of information. Give them a great big hand. Dr. Arthur Lewis. And European and American threat to society with the thousands of years of killing and killing and killing, and they still killing, and we can't even see it. Give them a great big hand.
Good evening. The first thing I'm going to do is to reverse and mirror the applause and mirror to the people who make it possible for us to meet on a regular basis. That's the brother here, his family, and all of us, Brother Ray Ray. So it's okay for me to come and speak to you, but if the structure, the opportunity, and the position wasn't made possible, you have to also give Ray Ray and his family and all of you who come and support. You know, I've never been in the military. One of the reasons that I haven't been is because when they asked me to come in, I wanted to come in as a general, 4-star, private officer in the Pentagon. But they didn't want to start me that high, so they never took me in. The point that I'm making about the military is, with any military or any organization, you have to have support, your logistics. And that's where, again, you come in. That's where Ray Ray and all of the individuals who make it possible for us to come to you. So everybody has to get equal credit, because you can't bring it off without each part being in here. What I'm going to do today, the format that I'm going to use, you have a handout. And in that handout, you have information. So I have in front of me 2 sheets of information that I prepared. You don't have these sheets. You'll have them next week. But the handout that I gave you is 3 pages. It's typed so that it's legible and you can read it nice and clear. And on the first page of the 3, you'll have a picture of South America. The next time we meet, I'll get a color picture of South America. So what we're going to deal with is the issue of humanity. Now, what do I mean about humanity? We're going to deal with how human beings have treated and still treat other human beings. And that's part of the understanding of us as human beings as it deals with any subjects. A number of the books, information, they document a number of activities where human beings have done other things to other human beings and to others living things that shouldn't be done. And we are, as human beings, are capable of all activities. But we're going to continue to examine African people today, African people in the past, and African people in the future. So I said to myself, what is it that I'm going to try to concentrate on to try to illustrate how human beings in the past have treated each other and how that activity and behavior reflects on us today and in the past. So I decided to use the landmass of South America as the highlight. And in this landmass of South America, which you see a colored picture of, and it has different shapes to illustrate the so-called borders of the countries that are in what they call South America. So someone has decided to divide the world into different sections: North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Pacific. So we're going to deal with that part of the world that has been designated as South America. And like many things, to make the presentation, because I made it, and I know what I've gone through here, but I have to do the best that I can to transfer that understanding to you, because you're just now seeing it. So you have to say, okay, let me explain what's going on here so you can get the best out of what we're trying to do. The concentration is on South America. The particular country that we're going to speak about is on your black and white. You'll get color the next time. You see a country up in what they call the north, south, east, and west. It's a country outlined in yellow. It's named Venezuela. And why we're going to present Venezuela is because they have a certain situation militarily with another country you call the United States of America. So to give you a quick overview for those who haven't covered this particular area of South America and why we're covering it now, it's because you have a group of human beings who run a country you call the United States of America. Those human beings who presently determine and run the domestic and foreign policy of that country you call United States of America are human beings who we designate as Europeans. So we want to make it clear we're talking what people call ethnicity and highlight different people's behavior. So the people who run, develop the policy, domestic and foreign policy of the United States of America are white, what you call white, Europeans. Now let me designate white. I'm in the bus stop with my granddaughter, and we were on the line, and I asked her, what color is this person? She said, he's brown. What color is this person here? One of the brothers there, jet black, he's black. What color is this person? White. I said, look at her shirt. That's white. Now, if you look at her face and her skin, is that white? Oh no, she's pink. So I'm just want to designate the way I observe things. When we say he or she is white in that context, I don't know what they mean because they're not white. This is white. What you're calling white is more like a pink or a slight off brown. So this whole color thing, I just wanted to mention that. So when I talk about Europeans, I'm talking about a group of human beings that by the history that we have used to live in a landmass they call Europe. We don't have the big map here. And those group of human beings who lived in a landmass we call Europe, you look on the map, they presently inhabit the area landmass you call the United States of America. How did they get here? Almost all of the human beings you call white or Europeans arrived into that landmass you call North America, Canada, United States. So we're designating, talking about United States of America. Almost all of the human beings that are living in the United States now, you call white, or somebody designated white. And you look back, either they just got here as the human being, or one of their ancestors, mother, father, they just got here, or their grandparent. So I just want to frame what these people you call white people. I'll use President Trump as an example. You look at the literature, you read about it, and they say the material you can pick up on all of these information. That his grandfather migrated from Europe. That part of Europe, when you look on the map, you call Germany. But there was no Germany. That name of that area called Germany, it wasn't named Germany. It won't become Germany until 2 or 3 years after Donald Trump's father left. That country you would designate as Germany. It was part of the Holy Roman Empire. So you get technical there, okay. His grandfather left that northern part of Europe, in your mind you call Germany, and he traveled through a certain route that brought him to the big island you call UK, United Kingdom. The English took it over, the Irish, the Scots, and other ones they took it. So you look at the map, you say Great Britain, and you look at the map, Scotland, Ireland. So the migration in 1800, let's take 1850, in the world between what is now the United States and what is now Europe. 1850 here, the slavery is going, the Civil War is going to break out. So his father's coming, his grandfather's coming. You look at the exact date, around 1860 something, 68. Traveling from that part of Europe, which is now called Germany, and the trip normally takes them across to this big island you call UK, Great Britain, the water. And then you get on the ship and you come. Because everybody, every white person whose grandparents lived here, they came that route on some ship that brought them over here. Because there was no airplane. So his grandfather, coming out of the northern part of Europe, which is now Germany, migrated over to UK, took a ship, and they came to New York, because New York was the main port. That route is the route from 1850 let me say 1850 to 1924. That's where the massive number, 1.5 million human beings who you call white, came out of Europe. UK, Germany, what is now Italy, got on the boat, came to the United States, and most of them came in to New York City between 1850 and 1925. That's the origin of almost all white people you will meet today. They all came as immigrants, and they all came as illegal immigrants because they weren't born here, and they weren't, later you do your little naturalization. So that's how I want you to look at white people in the United States. You look up Bill Gates and you look up Trump, they're gonna say, this one came from what would be Germany, this one would be Switzerland, this one came from, that white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Anglo-Saxon, that's that Germanic tribe. Germanic tribes, as Dr. Mackey tells us, are these groups of people that came from the northern part of Europe and they went down, heading south into what is now Italy and Spain, into the Roman Empire. It's very important to understand that, because when I speak to white people, they ask me, what am I? I said, I'm an African American. What does that mean to me? The American donates my citizenship. I'm a citizen of the United States of America. A year and a day in the jail, I'm no longer a citizen. So the citizen is just a political title to say you are a person who's recognized to have certain privileges in this country. In the African part, we're using the word African because Al-Kabalon and other names. I'm denoting that I recognize my ancestors I come from groups of people from this landmass we call Africa. I don't know what part of Africa my great-great-great-grandfather, so I claim it all. Africans moved to me. So I'm clear. They always tell me they're Americans. They never say I'm Irish American, or this American, or that. They don't want to say it. You listen to these YouTube channels, a lot of these older white men who are ex-military and stuff. With the problem that Western Europe is losing the war badly to Russia. When they speak, each of these, some of them one come from Ireland, one come from Scotland, one come from France. These are all white, so-called European commentators talking about Europe losing the war to Russia and that Europe economy is collapsing. They never said, my country, the Europeans. They disconnect themselves from Europe. Why? And what pushed that migration of 150 million white people out of it? Famine, cold weather, famine, and when you don't get food to eat, you develop the diseases, smallpox, measles, mumps, chickenpox, that all was brought here by these white people. They had to irrigate it. So what pushed them here was the famine, disease, and war. Wars. From 1800, I'm saying all this preference to what we're going to do, but we'll move quickly once we get it. From 1800, you look up and you look at history, from 1800 to 1900, you look at that map of what you call Europe, from UK, France, you come all the way to the border of Russia. What you now call France, Germany, and Italy and stuff, they were at war with each other for 100 years straight. Napoleonic wars, the wars of the creation of Germany, they were at war. Killing each other with the famine because it's cold and ice. That's who Trump's people, Bill Gates' people come from, Europe. Immigrating out with famine, disease, and war. And I mention that because we're going to interject that into the Monroe Doctrine on why the United States had no one from Europe come to bother it in the Monroe Doctrine. That's the Europe that I'm looking at. When I look at it, this guy's a billionaire, and this guy's a billionaire. It's like Brother said, you got off the boat with nothing. Nothing. Now you got this big farm, you got all of this oil, and you got this, and you got the superiority. But you don't talk about yourself. Trump, when he had his inauguration, he didn't mention his ancestors once. We built the Panama Canal. Who's we? Africans in the Caribbean built it.
Exactly.
You may have had some Frenchmen and some other Americans with the money you're stolen. As Kwame Ture tell us, white people lie. Even when they tell the truth, is a result of a double lie. So I'm saying this to set the stage. And that's how I look at things. I'm going to mention two things that shape me, and then I get to this. So I just want you, when we talk about what is he talking about? We had mentioned the MAGA organization. MAGA, certain groups of white people, make America great again. And we read in their doctrine that the reason that America is no longer great is because of these foreign immigrants coming out of Mexico, coming out of Africa, coming to Arab. In other words, who now makes America not as prosperous so that white people can't live as well? If we just didn't have those immigrants from Africa coming here, if we just didn't have those Arabs coming here, and them Spanish people dark from Mexico. Do you know your history? Every one of your families that you talking came off the damn boat. Every one of them. They don't have any sense of history, a concept. That's what makes America not good. Got to make it good. Oh, not those white Anglo-Saxon bankers, corporate owners, presidents. They moved all the jobs out. First to Canada, then to Mexico, and to Japan. When I was young, most of the foreign things coming in was Japanese. It wasn't Chinese, the other one, way back then. So it wasn't the white businessman, the banker, the congressman. All of them shipped the jobs, all of the good manufacturing jobs. And the United States had 70% of the manufacturing capacity in the world after World War II, because all of the manufacturing countries, which were way ahead of the United States, they were all destroyed in World War II. The Russians, the Chinese, the Africans, were plenty of big business in Africa, Russia, Africa, England, France, Russia. So they, in the war, they destroyed. The United States comes out as a dominant country. From 1944, and it's no longer dominant now, and in 2020, they're way down. And the people want to know, where's with what's going on? If it wasn't for those Arabs and those Africans and those things, make America great again. Okay, so I'm telling you, this is the pathology that you're dealing with, lack of knowledge of the history and displacement. And the MAGA people say, you shouldn't come here as an immigrant. Every one of them are immigrants. It's insanity. You look at it that way. And two things I'm going to say, then we're going to read this so we can get into it. I was watching on TV, Chris Hedges doing one of his historical talks. He was up in Massachusetts, all white people, and he gave the history of what he went through as an American overseas and what America has done to all of these people. And at the end of his recitation and the end of his writings, he's a white man. He said, they asked him, are you an American? He took him 2 minutes and said, no, I'm not an American. He knows he's an American, by this thing with American citizen, He knows he's white. He's telling you, I'm not connected to what you, this, whatever this is. If you don't know how white people have treated each other and treated African and indigenous here, then you need a whole nother lecture. That's what he meant. And he said, no, I'm not an American. And in his writings, he's reminding you that white Americans and Europeans are Ice Age cave hunters with a suit or a badge. He's telling you whatever you associate with that caveman behavior, anything, it's the same. It hasn't changed. The only difference is they have a suit and they shaved. He's telling you what he sees in that person you see as a European. And the other thing I always mention, and we're going to get on to it, is Hunter College 10, 15 years ago is still on the internet. And I mention it over and over. Michael Moore and the brother with the hair, I can't think of his name. Michael Moore and Cornel West. WBAI, an auditorium, completely white audience with a handful of us people of color. And Michael Moore said to Cornel West, they were on the stage, he said, let me tell you how we white people are. He asked the question. Only white people answer, because almost everybody is white, or what you call white. Why is it that we white people in America find it necessary to mistreat black people here? 2 minutes. What's the answer? Silence. He asked it the second and the third time. He said, this is who they are. Now y'all can go around, we're all civil. We got to treat each other as human beings based within the culture. But I just want everybody to think about who you're living in this country with. Okay, I'm going to read, takes me about 10 minutes. And the topic that I chose is Africa. The second is called Federation, means to group together. We're going to deal with what Nigeria has just done. Then we're going to deal with the Monroe Doctrine. And then we're going to deal with Venezuela. It's all tied in. This is what one of the heads of the African countries said that we have to have in order to build powerful, strong countries. You have to maintain stability. So we are now members of the government of an African country. We're not sitting here as people lecturing and you listen to lecture. We're now sitting and here's the president, here's the Traoré. And we are the parliamentarians, we are the ones who have to structure our country. We just took it from the French. What do we have to do? First, we kicked out the French. Then we armed ourselves. We went and got help from Russia and China, North Korea, Venezuela, and another other country to help us stabilize our security so that the United States and the Europeans don't kill Burkina Faso like they did to the president of I can't think of Northern Europe. It'll come to me. Gaddafi. Okay? So he got the help. Here's what we have to understand. Those leaders who now run the country. You maintain stability at home. You can't have the chaos. Peace with your neighbors. That's why the three countries got together in the Sahel to join together for unity. Develop is the hard truth. Let's now first protect ourselves. You got to be able to feed yourself. You need security. You have to feed yourself. Infrastructure. Start making what you have to make for your survival. You need power in order to do it. And the three forms of power is hydrogen, hydroelectric, solar, and nuclear. That's what nation building is. And that's what you did in the United States of America to make it. The Constitution of the United States, Constitutional Convention in the United States had only two issues when they met together. The 13 colonies said, we got to get together or we're finished. Why? Because they were fighting the indigenous people, but the bigger threat to the 13 colonies' existence was Britain, who was taxing them, stealing from them. The same way you've been mistreated as an African here, you personally, your ancestors, that mistreatment, that's what the British whites were doing to the people in the colonies, because the first group of people the British brought over were Irish slaves, but they couldn't do the work, so they came to get us. So they wanted to federate. Let's join a union and get together to protect us from the indigenous, but mainly from Britain. And the second issue they had to do is we have to be able to have a stable agriculture. We got to feed ourselves. So the only economy of the 13 colonies was agriculture. In other words, if you couldn't grow your own food and harvest and stuff, you finished. And that's why they went to get you out of Africa. Skilled and unskilled people. You grew the food, you built it without African physically being here with their labor, with their skills, how to grow rice, how to grow this. Europeans coming out of a cold climate, they don't grow anything but cabbage and potatoes. So if it wasn't for them being able to get a hold of African-based people, you've been growing food for thousands of years. You've been building homes and bridges and tunnels. So the second phase was we got to get some protection against the British. That's why they went with the French. And we got to get somebody to feed us and build a country. That's why they went with you. The War of Independence was fought between France, Spain, and the indigenous people. France, Spain, and the colonists. Those were one side, and they fought against the British. Then what they used was gunpowder and cannon and all of that. They had none of that. So it was really the French that defeated the British for them to get independence. They don't mention any of that. Now, we have to review this to understand what happened and understand. If you don't see Trump or anybody as pathological liars or people who have a very poor memory. I didn't know any of his people built the Panama Canal. His grandfather came over Europe, age 16. They said he spent 2 years in New York as a barber. Then he went out to the west, to California and Washington, and the big thing at that point was heroin. Because remember, there's the first and second Opium War. First Opium War, English, United States was messing with the Chinese. The second Opium War, English, France, UK, United States, and France. Let's all get into that. So the whole global heroin trade was started by the English, the French, and they brought it to the western part of the United States. They enslaved Chinamen, and they brought here, they helped build a railroad, and they brought the heroin in the country. And you can easily look, and we'll deal with it, the big families here who all made all that money off the heroin. So they say his grandfather went, came at 16, stayed with his sister in New York, then he went out west, and he made his money. And it said it was legal or illegal. Hotels, rooms, prostitutes, and drugs. That's his grandfather on the books. I didn't say a damn word that I said it. You look at this book. Maybe the books are So all of these millionaires and billionaires and everybody who got all of this stuff, these are third generation people whose grandparents came off the ship with their clothes. Many of them had to be deloused. Now they're the big educators. We the only one that said, we got, but yeah, you control the place. You set the rules and regulations, got nothing to do with no democracy or anything else. So at the inauguration, I may have missed it. I didn't hear Trump talk about the achievement of his grandfather or the achievement of his father.
Didn't say it.
No, man, we built the Panama. All of them in that room. They'll kill you quick as they blink at you if you think you're going to take away that kind of fantastic wealth, knowing what they come from. This is your American, your white American, who grins at you every day.
Humanity.
And they all come here knowing when they came out of Europe, the English, the northern part, came to what you call United States. What would be Spain and Portugal, and some of the Italians, they left Europe and they didn't come to North America. They went into the colonies so they mainly in Central and South America. If you look at South America now, what's this? Chile, Paraguay, Uruguay, and one other. It's white. Almost all Italian. The Pope who just died, he's third generation Italian. So that southern part of Europe, which was African and indigenous, is all white. So they know how they eat it. They know what happened. You come, when the European came out that ice, they came mass murder and theft. Mass murder and theft. That's the history. Stolen land, stolen people. So when you ask Michael Moore why nobody wanted to answer, okay, let us deal with the Monroe Doctrine. Now, why we dealing with Venezuela here, and why do we jump to the Monroe Doctrine? Monroe, then they're going to interpose. We're going to do Venezuela. If we have time, we'll do Africa. The Monroe Doctrine. So in other words, the United States, again, back to the history, got to go back and fiddle through it because they don't tell you any history, they don't tell you what went on, they lie and stuff, so people are looking around. Monroe Doctrine. Monroe is a foreign policy doctrine of the United States of America, stated by James Monroe in 1823. He addressed to Congress. And he said in that doctrine, Monroe Doctrine, European powers not to interfere in the Americas or the Caribbean after 1823, except in their own existing colonies. So he's saying that we white people are over in what is now North America. We're ripping off the land. They made a deal with France to cut up what is now the United States. By the time the British puts the colonies there, the French has already got a colony in here and this here. By the time Monroe says this, the Spain had a colony, had Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. The British have Jamaica and Barbados. France have Haiti and Curacao. So by the time Monroe will say, all you Europeans, those who already have colonies, you can keep them, but you can't come back to get more colonies. One white man telling another white man about how they're going to cut up the place. Okay. After 1823, U.S. pledged not to interfere with any of the European colonies in the Caribbean, or they would not interfere with Europe. Basically what was happening was 1823, the Europeans were in Europe at war with each other. And basically, the reason that the French and the rest of them did not come back to Central and South America. Why? Because they were too busy stealing out of Africa. They was too busy in, the English was, in other words, the Caribbean, what? Look, the English discovered India, that whole Asia. We're not going back to the Caribbean island. There's not much there. We got this whole continent. So the Europeans, instead of coming back in 1823 to bother with those small colonies in South Central and South America, they found a bigger prize. Africa, China, Southeast Asia, and that's why they never came back to contest in the Monroe Doctrine after 1823, because remember, they're stealing out of Africa. They're stealing out of India. They're stealing out of China, stealing out of Vietnam. The United States is beginning to go into Mexico. Then it's going to take Hawaii. Then it's going to take the Philippines. Then it's going to go into China. So the theft that they went, those Europeans, when they first came out, most of them went west, because when you look at the map of Europe, you get on a boat, what is it going to take you to? It's going to take you to the Caribbean, it's going to take you to Central America and North America. Then when they started to do more travel, then they discovered, oh, there are other countries out here much richer. So they started stealing from Africa and Asia. So that's why the United States never had a problem with the European countries coming back to interfere in the Caribbean. But now they have Venezuela. And we'll see how now other countries are now in the Caribbean. There is no more Monroe Doctrine. And that's what we're going to deal with at the end. And that's the general concept that we want to deal with. That's basically with the Monroe Doctrine. And then when you look up and you say, well, where were they? Europe, you look up Europe in the 19th century, from 1800 to 1900, Nationalist Revolutionary War, Napoleonic War, the Great Revolution in 1820, 1840, War of Unification, the Italian, German, beyond. In other words, the Europeans, when they left out from the Caribbean, they started fighting with each other over Europe, and then they discovered that you got bigger, much more things. Then that's when they stopped fighting a little bit and they all poured out. The Spanish went that part of Africa, the French took this part, the English took this part, the US took that part of Africa. Then they went into Asia. They went into India, what is now India, now Pakistan. They went into Iran. They went into Vietnam, that whole thing. So they was that period after the Monroe Doctrine in 1800. The Europeans first expanded west and hit what you call the Americas and the Caribbean. Then as they expanded out, they hit Africa, Asia, and it was that period from about 1900 to now is when the Europeans expanded. So if you want to do a gross overview of Europe from 1840s to now, Australia, Canada, you count up the countries now. How many millions were killed in Australia by the British? They're all us. In Vanuatu. How many millions were killed down to take Canada? How many tens to hundreds of millions were killed down to take the US? How many tens of millions? You think 10 million in the Congo? That's nothing. They probably killed 100, 200, 300 million Africans. So you had mass killing in the hundreds of millions of indigenous people here, in Africa, in India, Pakistan, and whole Asian strip, when the British, and we mentioned before, when the British and the so-called Indians after their independence were arguing with the British claimed that when they were in that part of Asia, which is now Pakistan and India, they only killed 30 or 40 million. The Indians who are now running India said, no, you kill at least 100, 150 million. The point is, 1400, they start coming out. And we know how many tens of millions they killed in Canada, United States, Central, South America, Caribbean. Then that phase ended, then they said, oh man, we got Africa. Then they forgot about the Caribbean, and then they went into Africa and started raping and killed hundreds of millions there. Then they went to India, then they went to China. 1400, 1500, 1600, 1700, 1800. That's how many years they've been killing. These are the people,
Killing machines.
These are the people who did this killing, who sitting as president in Congress in the United States are the grandchildren of these people. The grand and great-grandchildren, and they, you know how many wars the United States is into. So this is part of the culture of these human beings you call European. In the last 300 to 500 years, the culture means the way you do things is mass murder and theft. And you think they're going to give you a break? Oh, come on. Oh, commercial on the radio, I'm Mr. So-and-so. And I have an oil company. You look at him and say, you don't look like he's indigenous. Where did this white man get an oil company from?
Where you get the oil?
All the wealth goes to a handful of people. That's the overall message that I want to leave here with you. And I'll get this typed up nice so you can have it in your record. Now, okay, I'm going to go to Venezuela. And then if we have enough time, we're going to go back to Africa. And when you see what is happening, remember Trump wanted to bomb Nigeria, right? You heard about that? Huh? Yes or no?
I haven't heard of it.
Okay, yeah, he those Nigerians, 225 million, they're all of us. Some are Muslims, some are the. He's now complaining that the Muslim black people are killing the Christian black people. He's not concerned about black people being killed. We gotta stop this. Well, you'll see why. What happened?
There's something over there you want, baby?
No, Africa's a shithole country.
It's the land and resources.
Oil.
It's the
Oil,
land and
baby.
resources.
It's oil.
Say it again, Laura.
Let us do Nigeria quick, as long as we have it, and then the other two if we got it. This is what just happened in Nigeria in the last 6 months, a year. Nigeria expelled almost all American corporations. Out of here. How many hundreds of billions of dollars profit this white man digging out of Nigeria, buying all these mansions and stuff, and leaving you with rundown housing?
For years.
Okay? They take all these white companies, you gotta leave. Companies like IBM, ExxonMobil, GP, Sonova, blah, blah, blah. And look at You want to do business, right? Look at the business these white people have been doing in Africa. Now, we're just going to jump very quickly and then get back. What is it that Africa, what would happen to Europe and China if Africa cuts everything off? That's what Brother Nana Dick said. Shut the border down.
They wouldn't exist.
What does Europe and China get from Africa now? And before, the Europeans were just stealing it. China couldn't steal it. They used to trade it. Gas.
Sugar for the coffee?
Gas. The big deal. Gas, oil, coal, and wood. Those are the things that make heat so that you can manufacture. Food, fertilizer, minerals, and uranium. That is what the Europeans have been stealing out of Africa. You go to World War I, you go to World War II. After World War I, when Europe was decimated, United States companies, now we're talking, this era we're talking about white businesses. The way the white man structured his economy is in business. So he'll take this whole 100 pounds of food or whatever it is, and he will incorporate. He'll break it down. All of this vast wealth to this is what they do. All of this vast wealth you just got, killing millions of people, and all of the wealth is going to be concentrated in only these companies. And who runs the countries? They taking all of the wealth. Okay? All of this wealth, 100 units of wealth that they now have stolen, bartered, cheated. They bring it back to the United States, and all of the wealth goes into corporations. And the people who own the corporation take all the wealth. And 95% of the working people or the rest of the people in the United States get nothing. That's how you have multi 10 billionaire, 20 billion, and you got people sleeping in the street. Because all this wealth that they have been able to accumulate over the last 100 or 200 years, the theft out of Africa and everything else, it goes into corporations. And the corporations concentrated all in a few companies, and that's why you got this guy from South Africa, a billionaire, whatever his name. What is it, his name? Tesla.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Why did he become a multi-billionaire in Europe? Why the hell did he come to Africa? Because that's where the massive stealing was. And all of the stealing, and you pull everything out, you kill down all the damn Africans, you bring it back to wherever you are, and all that fabulous wealth gets concentrated in a few companies, and they put their name on it and they get it. And the vast majority of white people in the United States now want to know why they can't eat, why they can't this and that, because they don't know the country is structured. So that when the theft comes in, it goes only to a few, and the hell with you. They've forgotten about us. The hell with the blacks. The hell with the indigenous. And the hell with most of their own people. When you look up, you know what's happening now. Okay? So now you know. There's 8 things. And when we go over the collapse of the European economy and the collapse of the United States economy, you're going to find that it's directly related to the fact that the minerals, food that they used to steal, the African countries are cutting them off and they're using it for themselves. Okay, so let's read on. So I'm going to deal with a federation. You know, with 3 countries got together, like the Sahel got together, you pool your resources, and then you're able to function as a more powerful union. So the three countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, they confederated. They group 775. And so they protect each other, they share wealth, they fight together. So they're strong. There are 54 countries in Africa. So you got 3 countries that's federated. Now we go down Southern Africa, there's 3 more countries that's federated. Meaning the 3 of you run your country as an individual, y'all decided to federate. This is what happened. Botswana, this has happened this year. Botswana, Namibia, and Zambia. These are very large countries. Those 3 countries almost a third of the United States. What did they do? They did a border alliance. Federation, free movement between each country. So now, the people in your country, all the same people, cousins, uncles, brothers, all the same people. Before you had to go from one to the other, you had to go to the border and slow this up and blah blah. In each of your companies, Botswana, Namibia, and Zambia, most of the business you did with you did with America. You did with France, you did with Germany. That's how they cut it up. You don't deal with each other because the border is too much. It's all rules. So they said, no more borders. People can move freely. Now what happens when people can just cross the border with an ID? Federation between the 3 countries, only with the national ID card, people now can move. Goods can move, business can move, integration, agriculture, trade, solidarity, and unity, one people. So instead of you understand what's going on here? You have everything. And the way the Europeans set it up, I buy from you your product, and your product for pennies. And then I take it away, manufacture, and then sell you back something at 10 and 20 times. So with your fabulous wealth, most of your wealth is going to trade with white people. Now that you open the border, the trade now is mostly here. Now you're trading solidarity, unity, one people, colonial order. In other words, now you're unified. That's the unity. Trade less with the West. No more foreign military bases. So, in other words, they had the 3 countries, all become independent. She had their border, you have your border, and you have your border. And most of the business you're doing is with England. You're doing most of your business with France. You're doing no. And then when you look at each other, no. We one family. So they cut the border down. So automatically now you are working with each other. So instead of selling your raw material for a penny, and they take it away, make something for $1, you now are saying we're going to work together, and we're no longer going to sell our raw material raw. We're going to hold it, and we're going to get factories to process it, to make the big item. So Botswana, Namibia, they cut the border, no more foreign military bases, lost, and the United States is going to lose access to these minerals, and more Pan-Africanism. And what are the minerals? Y'all named them already. Some of the minerals, copper. Now you see, after World War I and II, where the United States and these white European countries, construction companies, where did they get the material to rebuild Taiwan, to build South Korea, to build Japan? Where did the steel come from? The copper, the rubber, okay? This is just from Southern Africa. Copper, coal, diamonds, emeralds, gold, granite, lead, lithium, manganese, nickel, rare earth, silver, uranium, zinc, wood, and food. Where did the raw materials come from to rebuild Europe? The electricity wires. Where did the raw materials come from to build it? It all came out of Europe. Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and all of Europe was rebuilt by white companies using African labor and African raw materials. You wouldn't have had it. That's how important Africa has been to Europe.
Everybody else.
Just that alone. So now the Africans are saying, wait now, why aren't we dealing with each other? And then they say that Angola and Southern Africa are going to join. You got everything. So that's an example. Nigeria is a little more complicated. So we're going to try to finish out Venezuela, and then we go back. The concept that I'm trying to get here is just to get you to rethink how you look at white people and how you look at the United States of America or any white country. What they did to you, what they still are doing to you. Okay. Okay, let's go to Nigeria. We're in with Nigeria. Let's go to Venezuela. Okay? Do you know why we picked Venezuela? Are we familiar with what the United States is threatening Venezuela with militarily?
Warships to fight them.
Okay,
With
so
oil.
let the people here know what is it that the United States is doing to Venezuela?
They have those big ships docked around Venezuela to attack them.
Threatening them, why?
Because the oil that Venezuela has a huge deposit of oil, one of the largest deposits of oil in the world, and it's in Venezuela. And America is not a land grabber, but they grab people, they grab minerals. America is like a spoiled child. Whatever they want, they go after, and they just run over people. They disrespect them.
But why doesn't the United States pay for it?
Because they got, what's his face, Donald Duck running the city, and he's not trying to be fair with nobody.
Fundamentally, let's look at the fundamental behavior of white people in the past that gave them a country called United States and Canada. What do they employ? Why is it they don't want to buy it? What do they want to do?
They want something for nothing.
What's the word?
Theft.
They want to steal it. Say the damn word that what they have done and they always have done. They want the oil that don't belong to them.
They're gonna take it.
They want to steal the damn thing. And to pull out the pistol on you.
And whip you. That's what
Now, so let's say, for those who look it up, in the last 3 or 4 months, the United States of America has deployed military ships, aircraft carriers, planes and stuff around the border of Venezuela. And they want to attack Venezuela because Venezuela, they claim, is running drugs to the United States. Okay?
supposedly.
This is what the papers here in the United States and the President of the United States is stating, that Venezuela is running drugs in the United States. For the people who are not following it, we're educating them and we're talking to each other. So Venezuela in the year 2025, we're in November now, in the last 3 or 4 months, the United States of America, under the President Trump, is stating that Venezuela is running drugs into the United States. That's the claim. Remember, just like if you are doing the talk and you introduce a subject and I'm listening to you and I don't know anything about it, I'm saying I'm obligated, she's going to bring me up on what she's telling. So I have to try to bring you up.
Update.
Yes, for those who are not following it. The United States of America in the last 3 months have put some military ships, aircraft carriers, and a few of the other things in front of the borders of Venezuela, stating that United States, wants to stop drug smuggling from Venezuela to the United States. That's what the statement is. Paraphrase it on the TV or anything else, so I'm not misrepresenting anybody. And the President of the United States is saying that he and the United States wants to stop the illegal movement of drugs into the United States. That's what he's stating. Okay. And if I stand corrected if I make a mistake, however they ordered it or do whatever they... The issue is heroin. Heroin or there's another name that is being shipped, something is coming in. It'll hit me, Steen or something. Okay.
Fentanyl?
Fentanyl, thank you. The fentanyl. The fentanyl is coming into the United States and is killing
People.
thousands of people.
Amen.
That's what he's stating to the world. So, as a result, when you look at your map of Venezuela, what the United States is now presently doing in the year 2025, around September, October, November, December, they're blowing up ships, they're blowing up small boats, saying that these boats are carrying heroin or what you call fentanyl to the United States. And for every boat that he blows up, he saves 25,000 US lives. Okay, so let us look at it the way we want. If you look at the boats that they show you, assuming they did blow it up or they're doing AI with it, the boats are what? 20, 30 feet long? Small boats, 2 or 3 motors. Now it's from Venezuela to the United States is at least 1,200 miles. So you have a boat that's, on average from what they show you, that's 20 feet long, even if it had 4 motors on it. None of those ships can carry enough fuel to go 1,500 miles. So you got a boat, looking at the motor, the fisherman, how far can you go with that boat? 100 miles, 150 miles, 200 miles and back. So you're saying that a small boat that can't carry enough fuel, going to make it 50. So they're blowing it up. Now, then people are saying, especially the president of Colombia, according to the United States record, the Congress record, and according to the UN, most of the fentanyl is coming through Mexico.
Drug lords.
Mexico. And most of the heroin is coming through Colombia.
El Chapo in there.
And almost none is coming to Venezuela. Everybody knows that. The fentanyl is coming from, they say, China. It's making their way to U.S. So the fentanyl route is from the Pacific through Mexico, but he's blowing up fishing ships from near Venezuela. The heroin is coming from Colombia, but he's blowing up fishing ships in Venezuela. Then there's a big argument about whether or not the water is legitimate water or not, whether or not, did you prove they have this? There's no proof or anything. Okay. The only small contribution that I can make, and what I just said to you is just repeating what I've heard on TV and other material, and I'm repeating it. But it's logical to me. You see these small boats, 20 feet, you don't have enough fuel, and you keep saying it's coming from Venezuela, but we already know. Now, the question is, why fentanyl?
It's in death, baby.
Now, remember when they had the Opium Wars, 1846, roughly? The Second Opium War, 1848 up to 1849. What were these Opium Wars? It was the first Opium War around 1840 something. It was U.S. and Britain getting together to take heroin. I don't know about no fentanyl. To take heroin, they were growing the heroin in part of Asia you call Pakistan and India. Taking that heroin, bringing it to China to try to get them addicted because the English and the U.S. didn't have anything to barter with China. So that's what the record showed. The first Opium War, China, U.S. and UK, they brought the heroin in, forcing it on the Chinese. The Second Opium War, the British, U.S., and then the France joined them. So there's documentation that the heroin, not fentanyl, that heroin documented comes from the British, the French, and the U.S. that introduced it on a global scale at that time. After the Asian War, somebody help me, I'm blocking the Afghanistan War, 19 to 20-year war, Afghanistan War. When the United States was there, the poppy fields were full. A lot of poppy fields, all that heroin. After the United States left the Afghan war, after 20 years, whatever they were doing there, taking the minerals, growing heroin, whatever it was, the Afghan people who lived there took control again. So from the end of that war to now, most of the reports show that the Afghan people shut down all the opium factories, plants, and they start using the land to grow food. So where most of the heroin trade, if I'm not mistaken, most of the heroin trade is used by people you call Europeans. The heaviest users, whatever the number is, 70, 80, 90, it's white people, Europe and the U.S. Now, when the Ukraine, when the Afghan war was over, the United States left, the poppy fields were destroyed. Where were whoever run the drugs, where were they going to get the chemical to keep the drug trade going? Maybe that's the origin of the fentanyl. The substitute for the heroin when you look at the chemical structure. So that question has to be asked. Then
They're mixing it with heroin, brother.
Yeah, but the other, and I'm just saying to think about it. The other thing that was brought to the attention of the Americans is, why is there a demand? If you didn't have a demand for it, you wouldn't have the problem. For whatever the reason, and I don't know. But when you consider that the United States is probably the most drug-addicted country in the world, and most of it is what? MD. Most of the drugs that human beings take in this country, whether it's justified or not, American population compared to others are drug addicted, mainly through legal medicine. And you know a lot of the deaths, you gotta check me on this, a lot of the deaths was overdose of heroin and others from the doctors in the street. So you're gonna now kill these people, you're not gonna do anything about the demand, and you have a drug-addicted society culturally. Just something to
So
think
they
about.
funded the whole war with crack.
As Joe
Even-
Biden by his son.
Yeah, even the UN says that it
They
plays.
funded the whole war with the Contras by flooding the black community with
That's
crack.
right.
They come to us again.
They know what they're doing. They have amnesia. They don't bring it on any of that to show that the problem is it's in the United States. And what makes you think the drug running from the heroin started that did it change? Then you can look up what families here. So I'm not making any allegation. The history show that the drugs in the Western Hemisphere, it's endemic in the culture and the law and everything in the United States of America, okay? So, now, let's see whether or not the United States is going to intervene in Venezuela. Let's take your sheet.
Oh, yes, they are.
Okay, let's see. What we want to do is just look. Now, you open up to the first page. There's only 2 pages. And if we have to end here, we can take Nigeria the next time.
You go to 9:30.
Now, okay. It says the Venezuela, Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. So I put together just basic information on the country so that you can sit and assess what you think is going to happen. Because I spoke to a family member. Do you know they got 20,000 troops? That the United States got the aircraft carrier? And then when we read through this, tone completely changed. How come I don't know about that? I said, you think they're going to tell the American people what is happening in Venezuela? Oh, you got this big aircraft carrier, you got these 2 submarines, it looks big, 20,000 troops. We're going to take Venezuela.
And half of them got shot at them, run
Okay.
down the street with a backpack.
Let's see, you judge for yourself. Only because you're getting alternate material that I put together from the internet. I ain't got no special thing. I look, I do the history, I put down what the people in the United States said is information. Then you judge whether or not they're going in. How long they been there? 2-3 months? Just sitting there?
They ain't going yet.
They go, okay, let's see.
They ain't going yet.
Let's see about this invasion. First page. Capital is Caracas. Official language is Spanish. The continent is South America. You can pick up one of those for you too. Population, 30 million. 29 million. 30 million, okay?
In 2024.
What does they say the ethnic breakup? Mestizo, mixture of European and indigenous. The European part would be Spanish predominantly. African, 4%. The mestizo or the mixture of the European and indigenous is supposed to be 51%. Africans, 5%. You figure it out. Dominican Republic, the people try to tell you, oh, only 40, 30, 40, 50 Dominican Republic. 90% of the people in the Dominican Republic got African in them. The damn Dominican Republic was African.
98%.
Look, whatever number you put, that island was African people. Before they wiped down the indigenous people, the island was African. Go on.
Wasn't that island originally Haitian? And the Haitians gave to the Dominicans,
Okay.
and then the Dominicans turned on the Haitians? Isn't that how it went?
To answer your question, I can't answer it. This is the way I would answer the question. Took my 2 grandchildren, we went to the museum. We went to this section of South America. And they see this big Olmec. You know the Olmec head? The nose, the lips, the brain.
Look like white folks.
And you say, wait, these are the oldest known people
Oldest.
that that's in the area. Oh wait, where they are? They're in Central America, they're in Mexico, they're in what is now the United States, they're all in the South America. So you're telling me, as Dr. Ben said, you have to find proof. You're telling me the oldest known people for thousands and thousands of years to live here is you, right? Yes or no? You ever seen the Olmecs?
Answer is yes.
Okay, but you got to let the people know and say that Dr. Lewis just running his mouth. They know too. You look up Olmec. They're African people, right? No doubt about it.
Totally.
They even have the braids. Okay. So I asked the question. You're telling me, and you could see the statues of so-called the Indian people in the area and all through South America. You're telling me that these group of people were here for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and none of them, and this is on, on the South America, the Central America, on Mexican soil, Guatemala soil, right? You mean to tell me they never got on the boat and went into the Caribbean islands? Yes or no? I'm asking. Do you believe that these Africans that were on the landmass of Central America
Only stayed in one place.
only stayed there? Wait now. You have to answer the question for the people here, because I can't say, Dr. Lewis, he's telling me this and telling me that. I'm asking the question.
They went everywhere.
If the Olmecs are the oldest, would you say the chances are those people you see as Olmecs inhabited each and every one of those Caribbean islands? Yes or no?
Yes.
Most likely they did. Okay, so let's back up a second. Or we could definitely say by what you could see, there were Africans there. Now you can make up what's Taino here and the Smanino here. I don't give a damn what you make up. What you see are African people. You don't see no white people. You don't see. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to tell you who the original people were in the Caribbean. I make a summation that if you were there for thousands of years, you influenced all of South America, most of the North America, the indigenous people look like us. So the chances are whoever was on the islands before the Europeans started killing people off, they were most likely African-based people. Clear and free. Okay, now get back to your question. When the Spanish, remember the Spanish and the French are late coming. They only coming what, like 1400? 1300? I forgot what was that one.
They came after us.
When were the average French that we know of, French and Spanish explorers hit the Caribbean islands? How long ago? What year? What would you say? 1400? Okay, 1400.
1400.
And when you hit here, who do you think they saw?
Us.
You! So people talk this Taino stuff. For me, they're bullshitting because they don't want to surmise. They don't want to surmise that most likely, from what we see culturally and blah, 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 it was African people.
Same thing with
You call them Tainos and all the other things. Okay, so now you roll up.
Nobody gonna be black. I'm in there.
Wait a second, you roll up, you on the Spanish ship. You roll up, you on the Portuguese ship, all these European, German people. The British roll up. Who do you think they saw in every one of those islands?
black folks.
You got a mirror with you? Put your mirror up and that's who they saw. Ain't no white people there. The white people, on average, and I'm not saying, Dr. Lewis, who are you, a specialist of a population? Hell no. But I understand basic things. If the Olmecs, well, their descendants were most likely there. Whatever they look like any one of us. Now that this Germans, French, Spanish, they're just beginning. Look, when you go into Egypt and you see the temple, I forgot exactly, temple with 6 holy centers. One of them is the god Ptah holding the sextant. The Africans were navigating with the sextant for thousands of years. They brought the sextant to Europe. The Europeans didn't begin to start traveling the ocean until around 12 and 1300. We built their ships, we taught them how to navigate, we showed them navigation. So the point that I'm making, the first group of Europeans that we know of, whatever number you want, 1,500, 1,600, 1,400, and they were there because the Moors and others taught them. So now they're now first beginning, the Africans first show them how to take that, the current around Africa heading south, and then the currents bring them up. You've been traveling that for thousands of years. Okay, now a group of white people begin to come out, what you call Spanish, what you call Irish, no, Spanish, Italian, these just names, they all the same people. Then Spanish, Italian, who's supposed to have come out first? Portugal, then Spain, then Portugal, Spain, Netherlands, then France, and then Britain's the end of it. These are young. So when I'm making the assumption, that would be my argument with anybody. When the first set of white people beginning to come in, that I know of, and you find it out and you educate us, coming out of Europe, 1,400, 1,300, 1,200, they wouldn't have seen white people. When did white people get there? Most white people who live in the Caribbean got there from the migration from Europe when they were fighting, that 1800 to 1900. That's when those Europeans came out and the whites got in Asia. That's the origin of white people, what you call white, in the Caribbean. You've been there. So who the island where, what's it, Hispaniola, the French, in the Spanish, who hit the island first? I forgot, who hit it? Haitian got there first, or the Spanish got there first? Not the Haitian, the French got there first, the Spanish got there first. When the Spanish hit, who the hell do you think they saw? You. And if you see some of the pictures of the early Spanish explorers, you know who they are? All of our colors.
That's why they Christopher.
The early explorers, those early Spanish explorers was African people. Now, who do you think they saw on the island? Where would the white people have come from? I didn't say they weren't there. Explain to me how the hell they get there. If the Spanish and the Portuguese are the first groups coming in, and these are just marauders, they're not bringing families to make babies. So the chances are the Caribbeans, if you look at the history, the white people in Cuba and the rest of them, they didn't get here until the migration, that big migration from Europe in the 1300s, 1400s, 1500s. It was you. Okay, so let's go on.
And so that verifies that the Christopher Columbus thing is a big lie.
Look, I wasn't there.
But Christopher Columbus wasn't there either.
All I'm saying is when you look at the pot, if you and I can come to that island Hispaniola, you're gonna find black people, you can find African-based people. You ain't gonna find no white people or nothing. The white people will start coming when there's immigration. Look and find out when the immigration is beginning to come out of Europe. Those white people that live in the Caribbean, they came out into the Caribbean in the late 1800s, early 60s. The white migration out. That's how you get the white people there, and all the white people in the Dominican Republic, the rest of them. That's late. Okay, so we keep on going. We cut it. Nigeria, we got to do it. So we want to go back and forth just to get the idea. And so I don't want to push my idea. Oh, Dr. Lewis said, think about it. People couldn't even feed themselves. You think they could bring enough? If you look back at the Chronicles, when we were enslaved and the French brought the white, the white French brought the white to be overseers, and the Spanish brought, they're bringing white people to oversee an African population. Now, I can't tell you how much migration came out of Africa to the Caribbean long before their slavery. All we know they were African people there. Go on.
That's whenever you have time, or maybe not tonight. That's my question. considering there were so many of us, pigmented people, dark-skinned people that are there before white folks, how is it they have flipped the script that they are the ones always telling us what to do?
Because things have changed. We're talking about a succession.
But we were there before them in huge numbers, outnumbering.
Yeah, because they had the guns. The gunpowder made a difference.
They had the
All we're trying to do is just trying to think about who were there. The white people, how many white people were in the Americas before the British came and before the French came in 1300, 1200? They're just indigenous people. Whatever indigenous people were there. Whatever indigenous people look like, white people don't start popping up until the British start bringing people over, until the French start bringing people over. That's when you get white people here. Spanish, I don't know, because there's so much mixture there. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm trying to say we think about this.
Because you got to remember, he said they were so nice. It looked like it'd be easy to take.
No, I mean, okay, so let's see if we can. Okay, let's see if we can finish this one. We can't do Nigeria. It's not enough time. Okay, you understand that we're trying to work this out by so mestizo, indigenous, European. Where these white people come from to come to Mexico? I mean, to come from Venezuela. They're all coming from Europe. White people are coming from Europe. Now you date it whenever you want to date it. But if we can go back, those Spanish, when they came, the people came out. Right? Eventually, the people poured out. You living in a continent that's cold, famine, and then you finally you get a nice warm place. The white population is a late comer. The Italians, they just got there. They're the president of the Pope, who just died, is third generation
Italian.
The white people, Italians, they're probably no more than 4 or 5 generations maximum. All of the islands, most of the world is people of color, overwhelmingly.
Being told by the minorities what to do.
Okay, so African, major. Caracas is a city of almost 4 million. These are the major cities. Caraballo, 2.4, Valencia, 2. So if you look at the map of
Caracas is big.
No. If you look at the map, let me see, I want to jump ahead for a second. Okay, I don't know if I put it in there, but I'm going to mention it because you see the map of Venezuela, right? You see when I marked it yellow? Your map looks black and white. I only have a color.
Yes. Yours is nice.
Okay. If you look at the northern border, you see from left to right? You know what the distance of that is from left to right? 1,700 miles. That border, that perimeter is equivalent to, what's the northernmost? Massachusetts to Florida. The United States has 20,000 soldiers. 20,000 soldiers, and that northern border runs from Massachusetts to Florida. What is 20,000 soldiers going to do with that? I'm just asking the question. 20,000 soldiers? What are they going to do? They got a population of almost 30 million people. You got 20,000 soldiers. Half of them are logistic soldiers. Okay, so I'm just saying this is a big country. You see the perimeter? You look at the top perimeter here. That's 1,700. If you look at the perimeter of Venezuela bordering Brazil, and it borders Colombia, that perimeter is 5,000 miles. Do you think, what do you think 20,000 soldiers, how many countries, how many states are there along the eastern border? About 15 or 16?
In America,
Easy.
in the United
Got
States?
from the eastern border of the United States, you got the 13 colonies plus a couple more. So what do you got about 18 or 19 colonies along, states along the eastern border?
Florida, Mississippi.
What you gonna do with 20,000 troops? What they gonna do? You have a city. Now remember, if you
They're
go,
playing shape anyway to the jet.
right, if you go in, they're gonna have to take Caracas, the capital. Now, can they take Caracas, the capital, with 20,000 men?
Nope.
Let's go on. 85% of the population lives in the urban area along the northern coastal strip. In other words, that northern strip where the United States would have to come in, 80% of the population there. In other words, you have a population there almost 2.5 million people. 2.5 million people live on that rim. So, you got a lot of people there. Okay. Mountain strip. And then the rest of them, let's go to geography. The Northwest Andes Mountains. Coastal lowland mountains. Central Orinoco Plains. Highlands, southeast. Northwest lowlands. Tropical ring. So you have a country that's essentially twice the size of California, mountains, dense forests. What you gonna do with 20,000 men in that? Ask yourself the question. I'm just bringing to your attention for you to think about this.
3 times the size of California.
Now you're gonna have to take Caracas, which is the capital. There are only 3 million people there.
4 million.
Okay? So it's a mountainous country. Forest dense mountain. Let's go over to this side. The area is 2 times the size of Texas, 3 times the size of California, which is reversed. But anyhow, 6.5 times the size of New York State and 1,800 times the size of New York City. The coastal perimeter is 1,700 miles. The total perimeter is 5,000 miles. 104 cities. Natural regions, and they show you the region. You think 20,000 men is going to be able to take a country of almost 30 million? Let's go on. The second sheet we'll do, and if we don't have time, we'll go to the military, Venezuela's military. This is information that I'm collecting from the Pentagon. You collecting from other studies that should give you the thing. Okay, you got the second page?
Yes.
Military. They have this is the official record. They have 150,000 men under arms. United States got 20,000. They got 150,000. All of the weapons United States got, they got. These Venezuelan troops have been trained for the last 15 years under Russian, Chinese, North Korean, Cuban, Iranian. Do you think these people know how to fight? Yes or no?
Yes, they do.
I don't know. Everybody think American soldiers are supermen. That's why Russia is winning the war against U.S. and all of Europe. I'm just something for you to think about. So you got 20,000 men, and now the Army is waiting for you. Army, Navy, Air Force, National Guard, natural, resourceful Bolivian militia, light infantry, arms. They have 1 million men under arms. They said Venezuela armed 1 million men. Now, if they can give citizens guns, is the government of Venezuela afraid of the citizens to use the guns on them? Yes or no? If they have an army of 150,000, and if they mobilize 1 million people and arm them, are they afraid of their people?
No.
Do you think that Trump will arm me and you?
Nope.
I think he should, but will he?
Nope.
You think he's going to arm black people?
No.
Why?
Because he don't.
Because he knows what the deal is. These people have suffered under the United States. So now you got 150,000 armed soldiers. You now have another militia of 1 million armed. Now you got how many major cities? You think 20,000 people going to take over? How many got major cities, a mountainous place? Let's go on.
3.
Mobilization. They have what they call a militia mobilization of 2 million people. Let me just mention the other thing. If you look at the map, a country called Colombia borders Venezuela, right? You look at the map and you see right next to it's Colombia. Yes?
Yes.
You look to the right, right next to it is part of Brazil. Okay? Got 2 countries. Both of them are not very good friends with your United States of America. What if maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 million of their men decided to cross the border to assist? You know, as they say in the street, United States has pissed off everybody. They all got grudges. But this is the first time that you have a country that is backed by a number of other countries that will checkmate the United States. That's the point about the Monroe Doctrine, why I answered. The Monroe Doctrine is over with.
And that's why they ain't going in they're not
Okay.
going into Venezuela, because you got all them other folks helping them out.
You understand what's going on here? Now, if you and I can halfway figure it out, you think the white folks don't know what's going on? Okay, let's...
Don't they want regime change? They keep saying they're trying to like cause that.
You know, you got some crazy people. Wait now, you got some crazy people who are men and want to be a woman. You think they're going to be a woman because they want to be a woman? They can get... I had one of them one time in the emergency room. Man came in. This is years ago. The lady came in and said, what happened? You know, I can't urinate. I'm having trouble urinating. The woman having trouble urinating. Okay. So we asked some more questions. You always ask questions. So me and another white doctor, 2 men and the woman, you can't have that. So she said, yeah, do you ever have any surgery? Yeah, the lady said she had prostate surgery. She had prostate surgery. What's wrong with that? Women don't got no prostate gland. And she's black. So what she did was, she had a sex change. You know how they do a sex change on men? They take the scrotum, the ball, and they take it out, and then you know you're left with the 2.
The vas deferens.
Yeah, you know the 2 sacks. You can't believe this, 2 sacks. And as a friend of mine say, no matter how much a man want to be a woman, he said the moon does not recognize a man as a woman. You ain't got the hormones, so you got some crazy people out here. Do you think the people in the Pentagon, knowing what the United States has intervened and killed millions of these people, look at 150,000 well-armed troops, 1 million men and women under arm, another 500,000 if you need it, plus the people, the president from what's the name? Colombia. He's arguing with Bush. He's arguing with Trump. You think he ain't gonna let the boys come across? Don't make it. That's one of the reasons I didn't want to say it. That's why they've been sitting there and they ain't going in.
They ain't going in.
Russia, okay, let's go on and then we go. Now,
Would you say they were sitting there because what? He said.
they've been there almost 2 months and they ain't moving.
Wait a minute, it's like a month now, right?
Okay, yeah, okay. So you know, as y'all said, they have oil, gas, hydroelectric, coal, iron, the works. Down the middle, assistance. assistance. Who's been assisting Venezuela for the last 15 or 20 years? Do you know Burkina Faso just got independence in 3 years now. What's this, 25, 22, 3 years. They have almost 150,000 men under arms. Burkina Faso, they got tanks, helicopters, jets, satellites. They connected with Russia to give them the full surveillance.
Why they ain't going there?
That's why they ain't going there. Now they're building, they made agreement with the Russians, they're gonna build their own tanks. Boy, okay, it's wonderful. I look at this, I just smile. Okay, so you have Colombia, okay. Who's helping them? Colombia, Cuba, Mexico, Nicaragua. They have what they call Organization of American States. The United States put it together and they run it with all of the people, but they don't pay any attention to it. It's like us not paying attention, knowing that what you call the NAACP and stuff, don't even bother with
National
that.
Association concerning certain people.
All that other nonsense. These three countries, in the Organization of American States, the United States called a seminar to pool, let's get Venezuela. Mexico, Colombia, Cuba, Mexico, and Nicaragua said, no, we're not going along with you. And in fact, the president of Colombia hinted that he may send some of the boys over the border.
Just to hang out.
Just to hang out. And
Drink some rum. Just to hang out, drink some rum.
That equipment they sent Ukraine, most of it, not of it, they say goes to the black market and they stick it. They said the people, the brothers and stuff from Mexico got all of the latest stuff. You send it to Ukraine and then they sell it on the open market. So even Mexicans, they got bazookas, they got everything the United States has.
The gangs.
And they're not, okay. So they said, we're not doing it. What did Turkey do? Turkey give them drones. The drones now I'll give you an example. When they had that short war, the 12-day war between Israel and, what's his name, Iran? 12 days, and the United States helped them. Israel called for a truce.
Help me.
12 days, in 12 days, Iran used the old missiles.
Help me, baby.
And they destroyed 1/3 of Israel. 12 days. Iran said, when you come back, we're going to hit you with 2,000 and give you the best stuff. In other words, I'm not saying it. I don't want these people here to say Dr. Lewis is anti-this and that. People are saying, what's his name? Iranians are saying, you go around the next time, we're going to flatten the whole area. 1,000 transport planes have landed in Israel. We'll talk why the United States is blocked. So Turkey is giving them drones. Cuba, military, intelligence, logistics, and health. Iran, the drones. Those drones, they like Russia, they one of the best in it. Not only they supplied Venezuela with the drones, they got a factory. Military, missile supplies, they help to buy the oil. China, infrastructure, they're helping build the roads and stuff. They're giving them financial help through the chips. The chips is where you transfer the money instead of the SWIFT. Oil, barter for oil infrastructure, radar, satellites surveillance, military technicians. The Chinese and the Russians have an umbrella over Venezuela. They see everything the United States is doing. You see, if you don't have advanced satellites and radar, you don't know what's coming. But because Russia is helping, they see everything. You understand what I'm saying? Let's go to Russia. Russia and Venezuela have signed a military alliance. The last one over to your right. This is what Russia, they say, what you pick up on the internet and other things. Russia, they say they're sending military advisors to train, to fight, to protect Maduro. In other words, you don't know how many Russians are there. You don't know how many Cuban troops are there. You don't know who, all you know is, you don't know who's going to be shooting at you. But you understand?
Maduro took over from Chavez.
Yeah.
So he ain't crooked.
No, look.
If they put it on the news enough, he'd be crooked.
Oh, but look, if he even talked to 50 billion, they'll put a bullet in his head as soon as he get off the phone. You trust that? Come on. So they said they already told him point blank, we got military advisors there. We're going to help them with the radar. We helping them. We train them. We're going to be fighting with them. Combat, protect the president's factory, weapons, they already given them manufacture, weapons and everything else, drones, ammunition, military equipment, air defense, short, medium, and long range. You know, when planes come over, they have a 3-layered tier, so if you this, they can shoot you down. If you this high, they'll shoot you down, and Russia has the best. So ain't none of those jet fighters that United States have, they're not going to survive it. You know the
Question.
Yes.
Question.
Go ahead.
Yes.
So the U.S. is laying in Trinidad. Trinidad gave them the green light to set up there.
Okay. Yeah. The answer to the best answer I can give you was 2 articles I was able to catch.
Well, they probably got a base over there.
Yeah. What he's referring to is that the government of Trinidad allowed the U.S. destroyer to, or whatever they call it, to land. Yes, to give them a base, only 5 miles away. Then I said,
They got an embassy over there, so a lot of people ain't against them.
yeah, no, but here's some. I can put 2 pieces together, the best I can do. I saw a small clip on the fact that the United States and the Europeans were investing heavily in Trinidad to upgrade the roads, to upgrade the infrastructure. So I'm saying, why are they bothering with Trinidad? Putting this time and energy in. Then I saw another clip. Why would the Western countries put so much money to bring up the quality of life of Trinidad? They never did it before. They can't get Russian oil now. They can't get African oil now. See, Nigeria had made a deal to ship oil from Nigeria through Algeria to get oil into Europe. But Nigeria said, no, we ain't doing it. You ain't getting it. So they can't get it out of Africa anymore. They messed up with Russia. They can't get it. And they can't get it from Asia.
They're still getting it from the Arabs.
Wait, yeah, but Trinidad, they're looking for Trinidad to help them get the oil they need. Okay? So you get cut off from Africa, you get cut off from Asia, from Russia, and even the Arabs, it takes a long time. You need oil. So what I think happened was the Prime Minister made a deal they offered her to fix up, the country, to modernize it, if she give them the base. But here's a problem. They say America and the Europeans, they need that light crude oil.
Not the dirty stuff.
Yeah, they need the light crude. But they say that Trinidad and Tobago, their oil field that used to give them the light crude is almost complete, because they say the oil field is really a Venezuelan oil field. It's so close. Remember Munderson was complaining about the oil fields?
Yeah.
These oil fields, nobody knows where the borders are. So in other words, you got this big thing, but you got Venezuela, then you have Trinidad, you have but you know, nobody is definitive. So you kind of work out a deal. So what I was reading was that the oil field that Trinidad had, they used up the light crude from their part. So Venezuela said to, this is what I was reading, Venezuela said to them, okay, I'll let you get the light crude from my section of the oil field, right? Because they all share the same oil field. So Venezuela, according to the article, was getting the light crude from Venezuela's oil portion, okay? So Venezuela has a section of it, Trinidad and Mundison's people, I can't think of it, whatever it is.
Go ahead.
So question.
So let me just make the point before I forget. So what I suspect, Venezuela said, because you allow the United States to have a base against us, we're not going to allow you anymore to draw the light oil from our side. That's the best I can do. Yes, now what were you saying?
Makes sense. Well, that makes sense. So Venezuela must be right. So they upset at Trinidad, right? So
I
they're
would.
upset with them. And is that a small country, a big country?
Trinidad is very small.
You can put it in your back pocket.
Look on the map, it's very small. See, the Indian Prime Minister, don't get me wrong. The Prime Minister of Vanuatu, when we were in Vanuatu and when we came here, he said in the UN that he wants his island and his people to have as much technology and everything that everyone else had. His position was Pan-Africanism. He quoted Marcus Garvey, Denmark Beatty, all of them in the UN. He's a Pan-Africanist. So he's with, and when the United States, they told the United States, we're not going to let you dock at the South Pacific Islands if you carry nuclear weapons. The United States says, I'm not telling you whether we carry it, so say you're not docking. So he has taken that position, Vanuatu, and he's a Pan-African. So he's not going to sell you out. This lady, see, Father Lenny saw the big picture. This lady doesn't see the massive picture that it is the Africans with the South American and the Asians, they're running the world now, not the United States. Who the hell would take a position to allow a warship to dock, knowing that Venezuela is giving you the privilege of making money drilling from their section of it, because in my opinion, she thought that they were going to knock them off. She dialed the wrong card, and now they're cutting her off. So the people in Trinidad were saying, this woman doesn't know what she's doing. So let's see what happens. They thought the average person understood. You see, okay, let's finish this out quickly. So in other words, you now have Russia there. Russia has given Venezuela everything. All kinds of radar, all types of radar, satellite surveillance, missile, all types, combat vehicles, helicopters, the best jet fighters, ships, infrastructure, submarines, destroyers. They got everything there. Now, if Russia has given them look, the United States know that Russia and China, they got the best radar system.
They're helping them because they're giving them that oil.
Yes, they're hooking up. They want to do business together. Exactly what it is, they're hooking up. We're not going to let the United States destroy. They did to Gaddafi, stole his gold, stole the copper, stole the silver, knocked out the thing. They know what they're going to do. China, Russia, and the rest of the country said, we're not going to let them destroy it. And they told them that point blank. So the United States, if you were Maduro, let me ask you a question. Would you, any one of you, if they said to you, I want you to sell out, what you call this, Mackey's 2 to 3. I'll give you $2 million. Would you take it?
No.
Who? I'm asking, would y'all take it? Anybody take it?
Nope.
You don't want $2 million to sell out Mackey's to the three?
No.
Look at the $2 million. And then when you shut it down, how long you think you're gonna have to spend it? Put a bullet in your
They're
head.
gonna give you them $2 million, and then it's the jackals are coming in like Smedley Butler said, and you dead and stinking.
You can't trust these people. If you trust, after Smedley Butler, or if you trust them, you finish. You gonna trust them how?
You can't-
That's why they allowed them to set up the port, because they don't have the protection and they don't know when somebody's gonna sneak in there and do them.
Yeah, but now, because as you said, and it's right, the Chinese have heavy investments, Russians have heavy investments, that's your hookup. Why are you gonna let United States destroy? United States, theoretically, the main thing is they're trying to stop BRICS. Trying to stop BRICS. It's too late. Because Russia, China, the United States military has superior everything. You're not going to do no sneak attack from no airplane because the satellites will see you already. And guess what? You know that what's that F something they call it, the new stealth thing? F-35. It has one engine. That engine, I'm not an aerospace person, but I read the what they call it when the people were doing the critique on it. They said by having one engine, you can't, the plane can't go faster than 1,200 miles. If you want that real powerful speed, you have to have two engines. So that little plane can't compete against anybody's double engine plane. Yeah. And it doesn't have any stealth. Every time you fly it, I'm only reading what they put, you gotta bring it in and code it again. This damn thing is worthless. $400 million for a piece of junk.
You have to bring it in and do what to it every time you fly?
Okay, they fly the mission. Then they bring it down, and then they gotta put back the special coating. You know that's just to fill the pockets, right? You know what Russian jets do? Whenever you see Russian jets take off, this is what I saw. When the United States does foreign things, the airfield, they have to brush it clean. Dust, dirt, speckles, okay? The Russians made it so that their planes can take off in the desert, can take off of rocks and sand, because as the plane takes off, the intake valves close. Right. And then they pull in the air from someplace else. Okay? United States can't do that.
They have superior aerodynamics.
Look, are you going to walk? Dr. Ben took us in the desert in Sudan. you don't have to bring no water. Tell us we don't have to bring no water. About a half an hour later,
They was getting ready to drop.
half an hour later, you drink anything. You drink anything. He told us, but he wanted to show you. You 120, 30 degrees, you're not going to last. You wouldn't last a day. So the point is you need the water. You can't go, the Russian jets can go any place. So in other words, it's so many flaws. So what you now have is you have a country of 100, according to these
5 more minutes, Doc, back it up.
We sum it up and then we do not. You have a country that's very large, mountains. You have cities. In order to take the country, you got to take Caracas. Caracas is 3 million people. How many soldiers and police you gonna have there?
18,000 million trillion.
They tell you you got an army, then you put a
They're gonna just they've been sitting there for a month. You can't. It's money, so they're not gonna sit
Wait
there.
now. Whose money?
Our money.
Our money.
You gonna get a bigger, and I'm gonna get a bigger tax bill. What's the difference?
So they're gonna sit there forever then in the water?
Hell no.
They gonna sit there as long as BlackRock tell them to sit there.
He's right. I don't know what they're gonna do. They can't save face. You win an answer. Anybody who you can understand what's going on here. You lost in Vietnam. You lost in the Korean War, the Vietnamese War. Come on, please.
But see, in those other places, they don't care about winning. They just want to cause chaos and regime change.
They want to destroy Venezuela. Then that way, all of the hard infrastructure that China did, that Russia did, it's hook up.
War is a racket.
War is a racket. They know they can't steal it. Look, the United States know you're not going to be able to steal the oil. With 150,000 troops, another million, then you got all of these countries giving them the best of everything. They have equalized. These countries have armed Venezuela equal to and superior. If a war breaks out and one of those cruisers gets sunk, who sunk it? Did the Venezuelan jet fighter sink it? Did the Russians shoot a missile to sink it? You don't know who sink it, but you know it's going to be sunk. The United States was there last year with the Houthis. They were fighting the Houthis for what, 2 months, and they had to leave.
The United States?
Yes, they went to try to, the Houthis is blowing up everything in the Red Sea. So they sent the aircraft carriers, they hit the aircraft carrier twice, they had to take them out. The Houthis are
You're talking about Houthis in Africa with the wolves?
the Houthis in Asia at the end of the Red Sea.
The Middle East. Yeah.
I'm talking
From
about
Yemen. From the Houthis from Yemen.
I'm talking the wrong one. I'm talking about Africa. I'm wrong.
But here's the thing. Like, didn't they have the U.S. have a whole build-up in the Red Sea?
Yeah, and then they built down after the Houthis blasted them out. You know what they did? They hit the aircraft carriers 2 or 3 times, and then so what Trump did was he withdrew, and he got on TV and says, we defeated them. He didn't defeat them, they got
their
out of there.
They got their butts, and he decided
Yeah.
time to go.
Time to go.
This is not going quite the way I wanted it to go.
Right.
Put his tail between his legs and he took off.
So he rerouted those ships and put them in the Caribbean.
And then he showed up on TV and he lied.
Oh,
That's the American way, baby. Any questions about it?
Now, the next time I come, we're going to go through this, elaborate, and then we can go in detail to see what is happening. Basically, what Nigeria is doing, and we'll go in detail, is what the Burkina Faso. You're getting rid of all of the white people. You've been here, you've done nothing.
They clean house and making it a black
If you want your country to be built, you gotta go people who's gonna help you. China and rest of them, because they want to make money. You make money, we get infrastructure. Africa is going to, within 10 years, it's going to be the major manufacturing center of the world.
place to be in the world.
I mean, it would be beautiful if we could get enough, any one of us who can get enough money, it would be good to invest and get it started. Most of us can, it's you locked down with taxes and stuff. But in terms of the long-range future, you ain't nothing here. First of all, it's prejudice. Second of all, things are falling apart. Come on. I was listening to a report where they're saying,
Well, they don't invest in anything because they hoard it all. So
this is a financialized economy. They don't make stuff.
no.
They would make wealth juggling paper and win for a rough thing. So anyhow, I just wanted to go over that just for you to think about it and you look at it at this particular point. They're sitting there for what, a month or whatever it is?
Yeah.
He got to find a face-saving way
To get out.
because the rest of the world,
Face-saving, right?
yeah, the rest of the world. Why is it the Sahel survive? Because Russia, China, North Korea, Venezuela, all of them help. Just like the United States and the Europeans ganged up on Gaddafi.
Yeah.
They ganged up on this one. They gang on you. Russia and now China has a stronger military. So if you want to survive, you pick up the phone. That's what Maduro did. He picked up a special phone and said, see, this is my phone to Deng Xiaoping. He told me I have any problem to call him. And then what did Deng Xiaoping say to the United States? If you mess with him, I'm going to sell all your stock that I got. And Russia's just telling you point blank, I have my submarines here. I have my battleships here. I got the best of anything. It's like Richard Pryor said, if anything breaks out in here, I'm not going to be the last one. That's what it is. They have built China. They have built Venezuela. Everything they need to repel and destroy the United States fleet, including the fact, according to what they're saying, including the fact that the Russians say, we have troops there. And those troops are going to be combat troops. They're training troops, they're going to be running the radar, and they're combat. Castro, they're all combat. You don't know what they have. You don't know what they have. All you know is that you can't do it. I didn't say it. I'm only looking at this, and when anybody look at it, if it's half true, how are you going to do it?
Okay, any other questions? Zoom audience, you got a question for the doctor? Floor, anybody got a question for the doctor? He's gonna answer it in 3 minutes. We got a question, go ahead. Going once? Going twice? So, make sure you take care of yourself and look out for yourself, and don't care who's in office. Elijah Muhammad said, self-preservation, look out for yourself. It will make no difference who's running this camp. If you don't look out for yourself, you can talk about the Don or anybody else. If you don't look out for yourself, you're dead and stinking.
Thank you.
Game over. And
the world, it has really changed fast.
a moment of silence for Brother Brown, Jamil Alameen. Those movements rock this nation, and they still study it. That's why we are the problem.
The best thing
You can talk, I'm gonna cut the camera off, you can conversate with Doc until we clean up.
Stay alive